All right, good evening, everybody. It's the Safety and the Sportswriter Show with Knoxville Nate and Big Joe on a Friday, the 23rd of August. We have college football starting tomorrow. We have pro football starting next Thursday. It is the best time of the year. We have a lot to get into tonight. Nate, we're going to talk a little bit about quarterbacks and the quarterbacks around the league that we think are going to be their depth charts around the league and who are the real franchise quarterbacks and the wisdom of how we rate these guys and everything. Nate, how you doing? And I got one question to start before we go with that. But Nate, how you doing first?
I'm doing good, man. I remember last year, I'm doing good, man. And it's right around this time last year we talked about which teams we liked as far as quarterback depth goes, and which teams we thought were short a competitive, decent backup. And man, we found that out quick with some of these teams that they're Aaron. The number one was the Jets. I said there's no reason why they should keep Zach Wilson on the roster, one, and two, as their backup quarterback. And on the third play, he blows his Achilles out, and Zach Wilson's your starter. And it was embarrassing for being a Jets fan. It was embarrassing for the front office and Douglas should have been fired right then.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get right into it. Okay. We're going to go around the league, division by division. Who has their quarterback for sure? Who doesn't have their quarterback? Who possibly has their quarterback? The upside, downsides. We'll get right into it. We're going to start with the AFC East. We started with Aaron Rodgers. You started on there, right? We'll start with it now. Aaron Rodgers. They got Aaron Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor, Travis Jordan, who I liked him as a future pick down the line. We'll see once his knees rehabbed and everything, if he can be their quarterback in the future. But we know the Jets are all about now. They went out and got themselves a backup quarterback for now as well. So they have their franchise quarterback. It was somebody else's franchise quarterback they had to get. But how do you think they're set at quarterback if everything goes as planned?
Either way, they're a million times better set up than they were last year. Tyrod Taylor, although not really a starter, he's a serviceable quarterback in this league. He can come in if he has to play for 6 games. He can go 3-3, maybe 4-2 if he can stay healthy. His biggest issue over the last several years is injury. When he was playing for the I believe it was the Chargers, when he got he was backing up and had to go in. And was it Chargers? No.
Yeah, when he got his lung punctured with a
when he got shot. I think it was it the Chargers? Yeah, it was Chargers, and we were talking about when he might have to go in for Herbert, and then they punctured his lung like in the first or second game, and then it was the rest is history. But when this guy's been on the field healthy, he doesn't make mistakes. He moves the ball up and down the field. I mean, he's the greatest touchdown passer. No, but he gets the ball up and down the field, and I like him. So I like him as a backup. And Jordan Travis, was having a tremendous season last year until he went down with injury. So they have a developmental guy, they have a serviceable veteran backup, and they have one of the best quarterbacks of all time, a 4-time MVP. So I like this room. I like how they have it set up. If they would have done this last year, I mean, who the hell knows what would have happened? They won 7 games with the guy that they paid $50 million to get rid of. So imagine how many games they could have won last year if they would have had, Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis or something like it.
If they just had Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, I'm just saying if they had anyone else. I mean, last year they had Zach Wilson and your boy from Boyle from Connecticut.
Yeah, Middletown.
So,
Pride of Middletown.
Pride of Middletown, but he sucks.
Yeah.
And so having those two guys as your only hope when the guy rips his Achilles in the third play was a disaster.
The scary thing is Tim Boyle, I think he's playing in Texas right now behind C.J. Stroud, or he's in that quarterback room right now. He must like make great s'mores or something. He must throw great picnics or parties that these guys love and want to keep him around. Maybe he's a good golfer. Who knows? Let's go to New England. We got Jacoby Brissett, who's going to start the season. Drake May and Joe Milton are behind him. Both you and I, Milton might somehow overtake Drake May when given the chance. this room, do you think they have their quarterback of the future in this room right now?
I don't think we know that, but I do like what they've done. They've got Bailey Zappi. They've got Jacoby Brissett, two guys that have played games and started. Jacoby Brissett's a Grizzly veteran, so they have two guys that are there and that can play if they have to. And then they have two guys that are young that they drafted that both have some promise. Now, honestly, based on the practices that I've watched, based on the preseason that I've seen, Joe Milton's better than Drake May. So I think they should. I don't know what they're going to do here because they've got. I think they have a quarterback to give. I don't think they're going to keep four, and I think somebody else will pick one of these guys off. So I'm interested to see who they keep, which three they keep if they keep three, and then B, who they start the season with. I would assume that they'd start the season with Jacoby Brissett, but really, why? They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to win a Super Bowl. I think you start the young guy from the beginning unless he's just not ready.
Yeah, I just my feeling is at least I would give him two games to sit on the sidelines and look, and then you work him in. Kind of. I would have Jacoby Brissett. I remember what the Giants did with Eli, and the Giants were in the playoff hunt when they put Kurt Warner on the bench and went with Eli and lost every game to end the season. But Eli was able to watch a Hall of Fame quarterback and at least pick up something. So I sometimes I don't like throwing a quarterback right into the fire. You saw a lot of Joe Milton down where you are. You weren't really the highest on Drake May. And let's face facts, North Carolina quarterbacks not well known for doing well when they get to the pros. So I don't mind him starting Jacoby Brissett just to start.
No, I'm cool with that. I just, he's not the long-term answer. So no. I think if these two guys, which I don't think they are ready, you start him and then you put in, after you go 1-4 or 0-2 or 1-3, whatever it is, you get whichever one you think is most ready and most, in tune with the NFL game, and you throw them out there. They're going to play Drake May first. I mean, they are.
They have to.
They drafted him third. If they don't, they look like complete idiots.
Right.
So regardless of who's better, they're going to play Drake May first. But my question is, how long do they wait till they pull the string on him and put either Bailey Zappi or Joe Milton in?
Yeah, I would say 2 or 3 games in most. Down in Miami, you got Tua just signed the big contract. One thing I want to say about Tua, no reason to go after Brian Flores right now. I don't know Brian Flores. I know Brian Flores is questionable, I guess, how he treated the offense and how he treated Tua, but he almost had Miami in the playoffs when he was down there. Another thing about Tua, when he first I thought Tua has struggled his first year, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he came from a great college program where he didn't have to play a lot in the second half. And if he didn't get to the playoff time, he usually had his pads off by halftime. So Tua had to grow up, and then they went out and they got Tyreek Hill. I forget who their running backs were when they had Brian Flores, but there's nobody you remember. So I think Tua took a bad shot at going after Flores now, especially 2 years down the line or whatever.
I liked it. Screw Brian Flores, man. He gets fired and then blames it, because he says it's the owner's racist and that he fired him because he's black. And, I don't think that's why he fired him. I think he didn't like him as a head coach, and a lot of the players didn't like him, including Tua. And I should he have said it? Maybe not. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. He was, he caught him in a moment where he's a human being, and the guy asked him a question, and he answered it honestly. All the time we get pissed off because we ask these guys questions, and they give us the canned, cliche, bullshit answer, and we're like, oh, this terrible news writing, terrible reporting. I want to hear what they really think. And then somebody finally says what they really think, and we're mad at him for telling the truth.
I'm just thinking that it's somewhere in between. I think Flores, as we have seen with New England Patriot coaches, they think they can do the Bill Belichick thing wherever they go, and it works for Bill Belichick because that's Bill Belichick. I think Flores had to.
Bill Belichick has 6 Super Bowls. Brian Flores has 0.
No, but you can't just, you got to find your true self. And if you're going to be successful in the NFL, you can't be trying to play like you're Bill Belichick Jr. You got to be.
Well, you have to treat people with respect, regardless of who they are and where you're at. You can't just treat people like shit.
But you see, that's
to get away with it.
That's the new NFL compared to the old NFL, and
it's
because
it's 2024, man.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong here, but why Belichick it worked for him is because that's how he was brought up in coaching. He was brought up under Parcells. He was brought up under those guys who, if they hurt your feelings, they hurt your feelings. They didn't really give a shit.
And it worked for a long time, and he got fired for having a bunch of shitty seasons in a row and winning 4 games last year. So,
but you can't take away what he did when it did work for him. And the other thing is,
I get it. But I'm just saying, Brian Flores isn't Bill Belichick. And
that's what I said. I agree with you there.
And so, and like I mentioned, I kind of liked it that he told the truth. And when someone asked him a question, he gave them a real answer. And now people are mad at him for telling the truth. And I think that's bullshit. I liked it. And you know what? Brian Flores, from what I've heard, is a dick. And, getting caught. And when he got called out about it, he said, well, maybe I should evaluate myself.
But when he was getting fired, no one was saying that about him. So this isn't about Brian. This isn't about Brian Flores anyway. But anyway, so Tua signed his big contract. We got Mike White and we got Skylar Thompson behind him. Mike White, we've seen from his Jet days. He's a serviceable backup. They're in good shape, I think. This quarterback room is in good shape. They have a great a coach now who is a quarterback-friendly coach, who isn't a defensive-minded coach, who knows about coaching and developing quarterbacks. So I think they're in really good shape.
I agree. I think Mike White could go in if he needed to and play a couple of games. And honestly, Skylar Thompson, when thrust into action as a third-string practice squad rookie, played pretty well considering he had no business being on the field. So I agree with you. I like what I see here. And I think Tua had a tremendous season last year and, looked a lot like I thought he would look when coming out of Bama.
Now we got Josh Allen up in Buffalo, Mitch Trubisky, Ben DiNucci, who kicked around with the Cowboys, Anthony Brown. I don't know. But I think Josh Allen, what we're going to learn about Josh Allen this year, is he really the franchise quarterback they think he is? Because he's going to have to make the players around him better. And as we all know, that's what great quarterbacks do. Pat Mahomes, he can lose Tyreek Hill. He's still effective. I even will bring up Eli Manning. You take away I can't even think of his name now. Like an Odell Beckham at the end of his career, but he outside of Plaxico Burress. I mean, outside of Plaxico Burress, I would put Plaxico Burress as towards the top of the league. The rest of them really, really good wide receivers, but not the best. But he made them better, and so that's why I liked Eli. That's going to be the test of Josh Allen this year. Can he make the guys around him better?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to, and especially now, Mitchell Trubisky hurt his knee, and he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. So that's troubling. And then Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who they brought in to pick up some of this, production in the wide receiver group, he's hurt and out for the foreseeable future. And Curtis Samuel, who they brought over from Washington, is hurt as well. So they're going to be starting a rookie in Keon Coleman at wide receiver. They're going to be starting Khalil Shakir, who everybody raves about how great he is. He's made like 4 good plays, and he's been a special teamer. So I'm not as sold on him as everybody else is. But I do like their tight ends, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. But, yeah, Josh Allen's going to have to put the load on his back and, win games with this team. And I don't know how good they are. I don't know if they're as good as they have been. They're definitely not as good on paper, but maybe they'll surprise us and play better without some of the baggage, that the wide receiver who left for Houston, had carrying around with him.
All right, now we're going to go to the AFC North, and this is what put everything in my mind. We're going to start out. I mean, you're set in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, Josh Johnson. They're going to be fine. Joe Burrow, hopefully he stays healthy for the whole season, because we know if Joe Burrow's there, then Bengals are going to be in it. But we saw last year that Jake Browning could come in and be effective. We know Deshaun Watson is a question mark. If he can go back to what he was 3 years ago, Cleveland's fine. If not, it's going to be up and down, and the defense is going to have to do it. But they have Jameis Winston backing him up. But, Jameis Winston, outside of when he worked for Sean Payton, not so successful. So what do you think about those three teams?
Baltimore, I'm a little nervous about, because if Lamar goes down, they're effed. I mean, Josh Johnson, he's not good. I know he's been in the league for a long time, and every time I think about him and I talk about him, I wonder why. Because he's not good at quarterback, and I really can't figure out why he's been in the league as long as he has been. I mean, great story coming out of San Diego. He played for Jim Harbaugh and, the small school, and showed some promise at times, but that was like 10 years ago. And I have no idea why he's still on a roster. I don't understand why. I'd feel way more comfortable if they had some of the guys that they used to have, like RG3, who was a backup for Lamar for a long time, and I thought was a great spot for him. Somebody like him, I think, would be really good here. And I liked when they had Anthony Brown, the guy we just talked about who just signed with Buffalo. I liked him more as a backup than who they have now. Devin Leary and Emory Jones are their 3 and their 4, and both of those guys struggled in college, so I don't really see them doing real well in the NFL. So that makes me a little bit nervous in Baltimore. If Lamar were to go down, I think that would be a problem. Cincinnati's just fine. Cleveland, I think, is in better shape now than they have been, because they've got Deshaun's already hurt. I don't know if you saw that article I posted.
No, I didn't see it.
On your page. Check it out. He's already complaining of arm soreness, and he's sitting out of practice and skipping the final preseason game, even though he hasn't played in one yet. So, Deshaun's going to be hurt or quit playing eventually. But I do like who they've got behind him. Jameis, Tyler Huntley, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the second-year player. Between the 3 of those guys, one of them can come in and be serviceable with the offense they have around him.
All right, now here's the guy we're talking. This is what got me thinking about doing this in this show: the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields debate. And we started talking before we came on the air, and I understand your theory on it, and it's legit. It's how the NFL thinks. I'm thinking like a fan right now, and I look at this Pittsburgh team, and I mean, Russell Wilson is there for a year. Yes, they're only paying $1 million for him. But in my estimation, Russell Wilson is not your answer down the line. Justin Fields is your possible answer down the line. And the more reps he gets, the more time Justin Fields is out there, the more chance you see of what he can do. He's only, 25 years old? 25, 26? 25. The other guy's 35. So, to me, he has been a starting quarterback. It's not like he's a rookie. He, like you and I have said, last year he almost got to the Bears to the playoffs. Even though it's been up and down, I think with Mike Tomlin as a head coach, not a big Arthur Smith believer, but with Mike Tomlin as a head coach, I would like to see them put all their chips into Justin Fields. That's just my opinion.
I 100% agree, especially with what we've seen at camp. Russ has been hurt. Russ has looked like shit. So I don't see the point. You're not even – the Broncos are paying you to have him on your roster. So you're not investing any money in Russ. And, I mean, I guess if you want to put him out there the first game or two, if that makes you feel good, okay. But I really don't understand it. He hasn't separated himself from Justin Fields. Justin has shown flashes. Justin's never had a line like this, playmakers like this, coaching like this, never had any of this. So let's see what Justin looks like with the goddamn team around him for once in his life. If you put Justin Fields on the Bears team they have right now, I could see them easily making the playoffs. Whether it's Caleb Williams or Justin Fields, I don't care. Either one of them, could lead that team to the playoffs. So I feel like, the Steelers is a way better situation for Justin, and they need to figure out what they have in him because they only have him on a 1-year deal. Russ is not going to be there very long. I think Russ is washed. There's a reason he's on his third team in 4 years, and there's a reason that Seattle moved on from him originally, and there's a reason why the Broncos stint was a shit show.
I think sometimes these GMs get this feeling that they can pull a Peyton Manning in Denver for 1 year, but it was a different era. It was a different division. You didn't have to go. He didn't have to leap over Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson to make the playoffs. Even, you know what I mean? You didn't. I just think you have your possible solution. Why not find that out? Because if neither of them are your solution, you're going to have to go to the draft next year. So you might as well put Justin Fields, who has a better chance of being your solution in now than Russell Wilson, who in a year or two is going to be looking for his broadcasting job.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this at length. Does Russ care more about being a celebrity or a football player at this point? I think he cares more about walking the red carpet with his wife and how much money he has. And, that seems to mean more to him than playing football at this point. I mean, watch the games last year in Denver. I mean, were his numbers horrible? No, but he just wasn't, it just wasn't good. He was throwing check downs when, Sean Payton was calling for the ball to be pushed down the field. Yeah. He just get rid of the ball quick and hit the guy, whoever's wide open, without taking any chances because he didn't want his numbers to look bad. It's just he's all about him, and that's not how Pittsburgh is built. Pittsburgh is built about Pittsburgh, and they want guys that want to play for the symbol on the front of their jersey instead of their nameplate. And I'm just not sure Russell Wilson even fits what Pittsburgh football is about.
All right, let's go down to the South. We don't have a lot of time, but let's go down to the South. We can do the NFC next week, but let's get into the South. C.J. Stroud, I believe in him. I don't know why. And this, I'm just looking at our lads as they have this the backups. Case Keenum is third behind Davis Mills. I would put Keenum as the backup to Stroud.
I agree. I've been confused about that as well. I think Case Keenum's a better quarterback than Davis Mills. We know what Davis Mills is. He's played way more football than he's deserved to play.
Right.
And I think at this point you just get rid of him. They're not going to keep all four of these guys. So
right.
I think at some point they're going to cut either Mills or Keenum. And if it was me, I would keep Case Keenum. He's proven that he can win football games. Davis Mills has never proven that he can win football games in the NFL. I would be done with him. I think somebody might pick him up and give him another shot, but I don't see any reason why they should keep Davis Mills on this roster.
Yeah, especially the fact that this is a playoff-ready team, as they showed last year. So if anything was to happen to Stroud, you don't want a Davis Mills fall off. So no. That is kind of crazy. Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson back. They picked up Joe Flacco. Smart move. Why is Sam Ehlinger still here?
I don't know. I remember when they were talking about how they were benching Matt Ryan and going to Sam Ehlinger, and everybody was like talking about how much they loved him and how great he was, and then he got in the field and it was a disaster. I have no clue why he's still on the roster. I kind of like the pickup of Keaton Slovis. Yeah. On this team, I would get rid of Sam Ehlinger and see what you have with Slovis, because he could learn a lot from Joe Flacco and if he got some reps. So Anthony Richardson, I think, is the most overrated young quarterback in the NFL. I haven't seen enough out of him to even have an opinion yet. But I think a lot of people have rushed to judgment, overrating him, saying that he, showed flashes in 3 games. He's played 3 games. Let's see what he is and see if he can actually stay healthy and, last for less than a quarter of a season.
All right. And then we got, of course, Trevor Lawrence. 2 years ago, he was really looked like he was heading in the right direction. Last year, maybe took a little bit of a step back, but I have faith in Trevor Lawrence. I think he's got the goods. I think once they got the team around him and he gets his head straight, he'll be fine. Mac Jones as a backup. Mac, get used to being there. Hopefully, you can just be a good backup and hold that clipboard well, because after a promising rookie year, man, did you look bad last year. It might not have been all his fault. But he didn't do himself any favors either. So what do you think about that quarterback room? Because then behind that, you have C.J. Beathard and E.J. Perry.
Yeah, I don't like any of the guys behind Trevor Lawrence. And I got to be honest, I thought Trevor Lawrence would be a lot better than he is. And I'm just being honest. Gardner Minshew was the starter in Jacksonville when Trevor Lawrence took over. And to be 100% honest here, Gardner Minshew's had better stats since the two parted ways and actually has won more games. So I think that says a lot for where Trevor Lawrence is at. I mean, if you look at their total stats for their career, they're almost identical. Trevor Lawrence has thrown some more passes, but really their, percentage is about the same. Their average yards per pass is the same, average yards per game. Trevor Lawrence has thrown 58 touchdowns. Gardner Minshew's thrown 59. Trevor Lawrence has 39 interceptions. Gardner Minshew has 24. The QB rating is 90 for Gardner Minshew, 85 for Trevor Lawrence. You see where I'm going with this here?
Yeah.
They drafted this guy number one to be their franchise savior quarterback. And the guy that they had on the roster has played better than him since the drafting. So I need to see more out of Trevor Lawrence before I start believing that he's some great, up-and-coming quarterback, because I thought he was coming out of college, but I certainly haven't really seen it on a consistent basis since he's taken over at Jacksonville.
Well, that's always the trick is – When you go for these number one quarterbacks, especially a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who's on great teams at Clemson, you have to question, is it the talent around him that makes him better? Or is he making the talent around him better? And that's always a tricky thing.
Definitely. And I think it was both. I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't good at Clemson. He was unreal. He was one of the best quarterbacks that I've seen in the last 20 years in college, especially coming in as a freshman and doing what he did. But I just haven't seen it in the NFL. And, everybody's gives him a free pass because of Urban Meyer, his first year. And I'm like, well, Urban Meyer's the second greatest college football coach in the modern era. So, did he do a great job in the NFL? Not really, but he got to coach for 12 games. So I don't know why we're blaming everything on him. Trevor needs to take responsibility for Trevor, first and foremost. And secondly, I did kind of like the pickup of Mac Jones because I do think he's way better than C.J. Beathard and E.J. Perry. And I think Mac Jones is an upgrade over what they've had the last couple of years as far as a backup goes.
And here's Coach Callahan in his room. Will Levis, Mason Rudolph, Malik Willis. Can we get a fourth quarterback, please?
I don't know. With those three guys, I don't know if I want to see who the fourth guy is. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't really know what Rand Carthon has gotten paid a lot of money to be the general manager in Tennessee for doing absolutely nothing. He has taken this franchise and flushed it down the toilet since he got there. Now, don't get me wrong. John Robinson made some bad moves, especially the A.J. Brown bullshit. But Rand Carthon has just been a horrible GM, in my opinion. Some people like some of the picks he's made. He's gotten a couple guys in the later rounds that have done okay. But the main thing is that you want to hit on the big guys, and he has not. And now they're going to be counting on Will Levis and Tony Pollard. And let's be honest, last year was a big-time bust for Tony Pollard. And good luck replacing the king, because nobody – can replace Derrick Henry. He's the greatest running back I've ever seen in my life. And, I don't know what they're going to do. Now, I will say the wide receiver group is way better than it was. I mean, you're talking Tyler Boyd, DeAndre Hopkins, and Calvin Ridley.
Right.
That is leaps and bounds ahead of anything they've had in the last 10 years, maybe ever. in this franchise. So I do like the wide receiver group, but who the hell is going to throw him the ball? I have no idea. If Will Levis, I think, also is a little bit overrated. I mean, he played better than I expected him to, but I'm not ready to hand him the keys to the car, and I'm interested to see what he looks like coming out of the gate.
All right, and lastly, we got the AFC West. We don't have to go to Kansas City. That's known. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes. If anything was to happen to him for a week or two, Carson Wentz, Andy Reid would find a way to make Carson Wentz look good. That's just no big deal there. That's
I agree. He found a way to make what was the guy's name from Michigan that was his backup? God, I can't remember his name now. But he came in and led them on a 98-yard drive for a touchdown when Patrick Mahomes got dinged up for a couple of plays.
Yep.
And Chad Henne.
Yeah.
I knew it would come to me. Chad Henne came in and actually, looked pretty good under Andy Reid. So we don't need to discuss them.
Yeah. Justin Herbert. I don't know. I haven't heard anything lately on his walking boot situation. Is he playing yet? Is he practicing? I haven't heard anything on that.
Yeah, he's back. He joined practice and was allowed to, start participating, I think, on Monday. So, but plantar fasciitis is a nasty.
I've had it. I've had it.
So that makes me very, very nervous because let's be honest, we saw Easton Stick play last year, and he sucks. So there and behind Easton is Luis Perez, who I don't even know who that is. So the Chargers could be in big time trouble if Justin Herbert doesn't come around.
I will say one thing. Eli played an entire year with plantar fasciitis and led the Giants to a Super Bowl victory. So if Justin can't make it, Justin, you're a wuss. No, I'm just kidding. We've talked at length about Oakland before. Gardner Minshew, you just talked to him about comparing him to Trevor Lawrence. He can be an effective quarterback. I mean, he almost got Indianapolis into the Super Bowl last year, or not Super Bowl, the playoffs last year. Could he get his team to a Super Bowl? Doubtful. But, he's one of those guys. He's a good bridge quarterback till you find the quarterback you're going to have to lead him. So Vegas doesn't have their franchise quarterback yet. They
don't. But I like what they did this offseason. When they were selecting, there was no quarterback available. Okay. And so they didn't reach and go overdraft somebody. They went and, just went with what they had. They brought in Gardner Minshew. They kept Aiden O'Connell, and they're rolling the dice with those guys, which I think is smart for right now. I think you wait if this season is a complete disaster, then you'll get an early draft pick. But I have to say, the quarterback room might kind of suck, but the tight end room in Las Vegas is one of the best I've ever seen. Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, and Harrison Bryant all on the same team, and then you got Zach Gentry as the fourth tight end. Man, I'd be running 41 personnel all day long.
sounds like a plan. My God,
four tight ends, one running back.
Yeah, exactly. Just stop us, and it's a defensive head coach. Pierce might want to do that. Lastly, Denver. Bo Nix is getting some good press out of Denver. They say he's developing. You got Jared Stidham behind him, and you got the immortal Zach Wilson behind on third string. The thing is going to be, can Sean Payton work his magic with Bo Nix? What do you think about that?
I like the going ahead and, you're not going to win any games with Jared Stidham. Okay. No. And you're not going to win any games with Zach Wilson.
Right.
So you might as well go ahead and get, get the kid out there.
Totally agree.
Because he's not really a kid. He's older. He's the same age as Lamar Jackson almost. And Lamar Jackson's played in the NFL for like 5 years. So Bo Nix is an older guy. He's played a ton of football. He's started more games in college than anybody ever has in the history of college football.
Even Colt McCoy?
Yeah. Jesus. Well, he had the COVID year.
Oh, that's right.
So he got an extra season. And he's played more games than anybody ever has. And so if anybody was ever going to come out of college and be ready, I would think it'd be Bo Nix. And, I think he's pretty good for what he wants to do with this offense as far as Coach Payton goes. And there's no reason to put Jarrett Stidham out there. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, for serious. I thought Colt McCoy played for Darrell Royal at one point.
Colt McCoy just retired actually on Monday. And what a great career this guy had. What a nice guy Colt McCoy is. And he got a job with NBC. He's going to be calling college football games for the Big Ten. And God love him. I love Colt McCoy. He's a really nice guy. He's a great college quarterback, decent pro quarterback. Actually kind of got screwed a couple times in the pros where he should have probably been the starter or should have gotten a longer chance to be the starter and didn't. And so I give a lot of kudos to him for the way that he always handled himself.
I just got to say, though, the first time I ever heard quarterbacking for Texas, Colt McCoy, I go, are you shitting me?
Yeah, that's the greatest damn name for the best name for a Texas quarterback that you could
ever.
It's like somebody made it up.
It was like something you would hear in a movie.
Yeah.
It was like remember Texas, Colt McCoy at quarterback.
Yeah, I love it.
Right. All right. I know you got to go, so we're gonna pull the plug on this early tonight. Maybe if you're available Monday or Tuesday, we can come back and hit this again. Up to you. I'll be around. But one thing before you go, because I wanted to hit this before you go, Kirk Ferentz gets suspended for one game. I got two things to say about this whole thing. First of all, really, you're going to start going after these coaches now, after all the NIL stuff and all the stuff that's going to be going on that we don't even know about. Really, you're going after a coach for some kind of a violation of going off campus or whatever he did. Number two, is that really a punishment? I mean, Iowa should beat Miami of Ohio if Ferentz was out fishing instead of suspended. What do you think?
If you're going to have these rules, then you have to try and enforce them, I guess. But we all know that the NCAA is a joke. But Kurt Ferentz, I think, has been a pretty stand-up guy for his career. I don't really have a problem with him overall as a head coach. I do think it was probably time for him to step away. Yeah. Considering what's happened the last couple of years with his son as the offense coordinator. I just kind of thought he was going to retire. And, with this going on right now, I think it's even more so time for him to take a walk. I mean, he's had a great career. Why tarnish your legacy with a bunch of bullshit at the end of your tenure? Just retire and be, the greatest coach in Iowa history.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, my friend, I will let you go. Get on to the weekend. College football tomorrow morning, Dublin, Georgia Tech against Florida State. I think that starts at 9.
Yep. And we got a big show coming up on Sunday morning. We're going to be on at 11 a.m. We're going to be breaking down the off season a little bit. We're also going to be talking about the top 12 teams in college football. So we're going to go over all of the preseason top 12, all the teams that we think are the top, the best 12 teams in college football, who's going to make the college football playoff come the end of the season. We're going to have our guest host, former Ohio State quarterback Steve Belisari is going to be joining us, and we'll be on at 11 a.m. and then rebroadcast at 3 on Roku.
All right, my friend. I will see you. Have a great weekend.
You too, bud.
Bye.